Success is nothing more than a few simple disciplines practiced every day. That's the secret. That's the whole philosophy wrapped in one powerful idea. Most people think success is complicated, like some giant mystery locked away in vaults and guarded by the elite. But I'm here to tell you, it isn't. Success is easy to explain. The challenge, however, is doing it. Doing those simple things. Not once, not twice, but every single day. Let me give you a picture. Imagine planting a seed. One seed. Not a whole field, just one. That seed won't do much overnight. In fact, for days, maybe weeks, you'll see nothing at all. But keep watering it, keep giving it sunlight, and one day, it breaks through the ground, and with time, it becomes something strong, something valuable. That's how simple disciplines work. They're like seeds of greatness. They look small, they feel insignificant, but they grow into something extraordinary if you don't quit. See, it's easy to get started on a new habit. What's hard is consistency. Anyone can wake up early once. Anyone can read a book today. Anyone can exercise for 30 minutes. But success doesn't visit the person who does it once. Success stays with the person who does it every day. Not because they have to, but because they've built the discipline to do what they know they should long after the mood to do it has left them. That's what discipline is. It's doing the thing you ought to do when you ought to do it, whether you feel like it or not. Now that's a powerful sentence, because if you can master that, you can have just about anything you want in life. It doesn't matter where you're from. It doesn't matter what you didn't have growing up. If you will start to do a few simple disciplines and repeat them every day, you can change your world. Take journaling, for example. Just 5 minutes each night to reflect on your day, your thoughts, your lessons. Seems too simple to matter, doesn't it? But do that every day for 5 years, and you'll have 5 years of personal growth documented. You'll start to see patterns. You'll start to spot your own thinking errors. And that awareness, that's worth gold. But most people never do it. Not because it's hard, but because it's easy to do, and just as easy not to do. That's the trap. The greatest danger is not that we'll fail because we aim too high. The greatest danger is that we'll drift through life doing little day after day and wake up one day realizing we're nowhere near where we want it to be. But the solution isn't some grand gesture. It's not a big event. It's a small correction. A shift in your daily behavior, a commitment to do the simple disciplines. Read 10 pages a day. Listen to something educational. Eat something healthy. Get your body moving. Write down your goals. Little things, but they stack up like bricks. And eventually, they build a foundation you can stand on. That's the power of compounding. You see, time will either promote you or expose you. It will promote you if you're doing the right things consistently, but it will expose you if you're not. The person who reads 10 pages a day for a year has read over 3,600 pages. That's a dozen books or more. Meanwhile, the person who skips it, they're still stuck in the same place, hoping for change, but never doing what causes it. Don't wait for motivation. Motivation is like the wind. It comes and goes. What you need is discipline. You need a structure, a habit. Because when motivation fails, habits remain. And those habits, if chosen wisely, will carry you through the tough days, the tired days, the days where nothing seems to be working. That's why I say again, success is nothing more than a few simple disciplines practiced every day. You don't need to do something heroic. You don't need to change the whole world tomorrow. You just need to start with you. Change your morning. Change your attitude. Change your inputs. If you do that and keep doing it, you won't have to go after success. Success will find you. Because the person who practices simple disciplines daily becomes someone of value, and value always attracts reward. Failure is just a few errors in judgment repeated every day. That's it. That's how simple and dangerous it really is. You don't have to make a huge mistake to wreck your future. You just have to keep making small ones and not notice. You miss one workout, not a big deal. You overspend by $10, not the end of the world. You put off reading for one day, harmless, right? But do it again tomorrow and the next day. And suddenly you've formed a pattern of neglect, a habit of poor judgment. And that's what builds failure, little by little, day by day. You see, people don't fail overnight. Nobody wakes up one morning bankrupt in their bank account or their health or their relationships without warning. No, it happens slowly. It sneaks up on you. You keep choosing convenience over commitment, distraction over discipline, pleasure over purpose. You tell yourself it's just this once, but just this once becomes just one more time. And eventually it becomes your lifestyle. And that's when the damage is done. Now, let me say this. It's not the mistake that ruins you. It's the repetition of the mistake. That's where the danger lies. Eating a donut doesn't make you unhealthy, but eating 3 donuts every day without any regard for nutrition, that's a habit that will cost you your health. Spending a little more than you earn one month doesn't bankrupt you, but living above your means for 5 years without budgeting, that's a recipe for financial disaster. The mistake repeated becomes the standard, and if you're not careful, it becomes your identity. The real tragedy is that most people don't realize they're on the path to failure. Why? Because the effects of bad decisions are often delayed. The pain doesn't come immediately, so we think we got away with it. That's a dangerous illusion. Skipping a study session today doesn't hurt. But come exam time, the price shows up. Slacking off at work may not get you fired today, but over time, your opportunities dry up and you're left wondering why others passed you by. Life doesn't hand out instant consequences for small errors, but it always keeps the score. Always. That's why it's so important to pay attention to the little things, your habits, your routines, your choices, because they are taking you somewhere, always, every day. You are moving towards success or failure, whether you realize it or not. There is no standing still. The clock keeps ticking, the world keeps spinning, and your choices keep compounding. The question is, are they compounding for you or against you? Here's the good news. If a few small errors in judgment can lead to failure, then a few small disciplines can lead to success. The power is in the daily choices. That's the battlefield. That's where your future is won or lost. And you get to decide every morning. You get a new chance to choose discipline over regret, purpose over comfort, action over excuses. We have to be honest with yourself. Stop blaming circumstances, stop pointing fingers. Your life is not built by what happens to you. It's built by how you respond, how you choose, how you act, especially when no one is watching. Because that's what determines character. And character is the foundation of all lasting success. I once heard it said that your results are a reflection of your standards, not your intentions. Everyone intends to succeed. Everyone wants to be healthy, wealthy, fulfilled. But wanting is not enough. Wanting without doing is just dreaming. And dreaming without action leads to disappointment. You've got to back it up with habits. And if you've been living with errors in judgment, habits that drain you instead of develop you, the time to change is now. You don't need to overhaul your life overnight. You just need to start catching those little errors. Not tomorrow, today. Notice the decision to skip the gym. Notice the choice to spend rather than save. Notice when you say, I'll do it later, and instead do it now. Because once you become aware of the small things, you regain control. And with control comes power. The power to turn your life around one good judgment at a time. Remember, failure is not a mystery. It's predictable. It's built by the repetition of small errors in judgment. But so is success. So so choose carefully. Your future is shaped in the small moments, the quiet decisions, the daily choices, and each one is a vote for the kind of life you're building. Don't major in minor things. Focus on what compounds. That statement holds more weight than most people realize. Every day we are given the same 24 hours. That's one of life's greatest equalizers. No matter who you are, rich or poor, famous or unknown, you wake up with the same amount of time as anyone else. The difference is in how you use it. And most people, without realizing it, spend the majority of their precious hours focused on things that simply do not matter in the long run. It's easy to get caught up in the urgent and forget the important. We spend time answering every notification, reacting to every little distraction, chasing after short-term pleasures, and attending to things that make us feel busy but not productive. It gives the illusion of progress while we're actually just spinning our wheels. But success is not about activity, it's about effectiveness. It's not about doing more, it's about doing what matters. Because what matters is what compounds. Now, what do I mean by compounds? I mean habits, skills, investments of time, energy, and attention that grow over time. The things that may not pay off today or even this week, but in the months and years to come, produce extraordinary results. Reading one page a day won't make you a scholar overnight, but over time, it can turn you into a wise person. Saving a little money every week won't make you rich tomorrow, but in 10 years, it could change your life. Small, meaningful actions that build on themselves, that's what you want to focus on. Too many people spend their energy on minor things. They argue about petty topics. They obsess over gossip. They scroll for hours distracted by noise while ignoring the very disciplines that would change their lives. And the danger is not just wasted time, it's wasted potential. Because every hour you spend on something trivial is an hour you're not spending on your growth, your future, or your purpose. And here's the hard truth. You can't get that hour back. Time is the one resource that's spent and never returned. The people who build something great in their lives have learned how to identify the major things and protect them. They block out time for thinking, reading, creating, building relationships, staying healthy, things that truly matter. They're not afraid to say no to distractions, not because they're being rude, but because they understand the cost of saying yes to everything. Every yes is a no to something else. So they're intentional, strategic, focused. It takes awareness and maturity to pause and ask yourself, is what I'm doing right now moving me closer to my goals? Is this activity building something in me or simply consuming my energy? Am I investing in my future or just entertaining myself in the present? These are powerful questions and they can realign your entire life if you're honest with the answers. Majoring in minor things is a trap, and it's one that many people fall into because minor things are often easy, comfortable, and instantly rewarding. Watching TV is easier than writing a business plan. Complaining is easier than working out. Scrolling through social media is easier than having a real conversation. But ease is a deceptive comfort. What's easy now often becomes hard later. And what's hard now, discipline, focus, consistency, often becomes easy later. That's the paradox of growth. So what should you major in? Major in things that pay dividends. Major in personal development, because your mind is your most valuable asset. Major in your health, because you can't enjoy success if you're too tired or sick to live it. Major in relationships, because life is richer when shared with the right people. Major in your purpose, because a life without meaning is a life without momentum. And once you've identified what matters, treat it like treasure. Guard it, schedule it, show up for it like it's a non-negotiable, because it is. When you focus on what compounds, you step into the flow of real success. Not the kind that comes and goes, but the kind that builds quietly, persistently, and powerfully over time. So don't major in minor things. Don't trade your future for temporary comfort. Focus on the few things that make the biggest difference. Plant the seeds of discipline, learning, and purpose. Water them every day, because one day they won't just grow, they'll bear fruit that changes everything. Discipline is the bridge between goals and accomplishment. That bridge is what most people never cross. Everyone has goals. You ask a room full of people what they want in life: better health, more income, stronger relationships, greater peace of mind. And almost everyone will raise their hand. But when you ask who's willing to do what it takes every day, even when it's boring or inconvenient, the number shrinks. Why? Because goals are exciting, but discipline is demanding. Discipline means doing what needs to be done even when you don't feel like doing it. It's waking up early to train your body when you'd rather sleep. It's saying no to temptations that look good in the moment but cost you progress in the long run. It's staying in when others are out, working on your dream when no one's clapping for you yet. Discipline is the quiet engine behind every visible success. People might admire the results, but what they don't see are the countless moments of self-control, sacrifice, and steady effort that made it possible. Now here's the key. Discipline is not something you're born with. It's something you build. Nobody wakes up one day with iron willpower. It comes from starting small, keeping promises to yourself, and stacking victories over time. You tell yourself you'll read 10 pages today, and you do it. That may seem like nothing, but what you're really doing is training your mind to follow through. And each time you follow through, your confidence grows. Your integrity grows. And the bridge between your goals and your accomplishments gets stronger. Without discipline, your goals are just wishes. You can write them down, talk about them, dream about them, but if you don't put in the daily work, they'll stay out of reach. A goal without discipline is like a destination without a vehicle. You know where you want to go, but you have no way to get there. That's why people drift. That's why they set resolutions in January and forget them by March. They didn't lack motivation. They lacked the muscle of discipline. Discipline also protects you from regret, because regret doesn't come from doing the hard things. It comes from knowing what you could have done, what you should have done, and realizing it's too late. The pain of discipline weighs ounces. The pain of regret weighs tons. You might have to sacrifice some comfort now, but what you gain later is worth far more. A healthier body, a stronger mind, financial security, respect, fulfillment. These things are not bought with wishes. They're earned through consistent, disciplined action. It's also important to understand that discipline creates freedom. That may sound like a contradiction, but it's true. People think discipline is restrictive, that it limits your life, but the opposite is true. When you discipline your spending, you gain financial freedom. When you discipline your time, you gain the freedom to focus on what matters. When you discipline your habits, you gain control over your destiny. Without discipline, you become a slave to your impulses, your distractions, and your moods. But with it, you take back the wheel. And let's be clear, discipline isn't about perfection. It's about consistency. You will fall. You will have off days. But discipline is what helps you get back up. It's not about never missing a step. It's about never quitting the dance. The person with discipline isn't the one who never slips, but the one who never stays down. They recommit, they realign, they keep moving forward, no matter how many times they stumble. One more thing. Discipline inspires others. When you lead yourself well, you become a lighthouse for others who are lost in distraction. Your example becomes a message, not one you shout, but one you live. People don't follow what you say, they follow what you do consistently. And when they see your discipline producing results, they start to believe in what's possible for them too. So remember, goals are where you start, but discipline is how you finish. It's the bridge. And every act of self-discipline, no matter how small, lays another plank on that bridge. Build it strong, build it steady, and one day you'll find yourself standing exactly where you once dreamed of being, not because you got lucky, but because you did the work. Day after day, step by step. That's the power of discipline. Your personal philosophy determines your daily habits. That might sound like a lofty idea, but it's one of the most practical truths you'll ever hear. The way you see the world, the values you believe in, and the principles you hold, that's your personal philosophy, and from that foundation, all your decisions flow. You don't rise above your philosophy, you live according to it, often without even realizing it. If you believe that hard work pays off, you'll be more likely to wake up early, stay consistent, and give your best effort. If you believe life is random and unfair, you may find yourself drifting, procrastinating, and blaming others when things go wrong. The beliefs you carry, whether empowering or limiting, are quietly scripting your life. And over time, those beliefs become habits. Habits shape behavior, and behavior shapes results. So when someone asks how to change their life, the real question is, what philosophy are you living by? Are you acting out of intention? Or are you running on autopilot based on old patterns and assumptions? Because if you're not examining your philosophy, you're at risk of living by one that was handed to you by others. Your parents, your environment, your past. And that's a dangerous place to be. You wouldn't build a house on a weak foundation. So why build your life on untested beliefs? Now here's the good news. You can upgrade your philosophy. You can choose to question the beliefs that no longer serve you. You can adopt new ideas, study new principles, and rewire your thinking. And the moment you do that, your habits start to shift. You go from reacting to life to designing it. That's when real change begins, not from motivation, but from clarity. For example, if your philosophy is that time is your most valuable asset, you won't waste it on meaningless distractions. You'll guard your schedule. You'll prioritize what matters. You'll say no more often and yes more wisely. If your philosophy is that health is wealth, you'll start eating differently, moving your body, getting rest, not because someone told you to, but because it aligns with who you believe you are and what you believe life requires. That's why people who succeed long-term often seem to operate on a different level. It's not that they have more talent or luck. It's that their philosophy is rooted in growth, responsibility, discipline, and vision. They've built a mindset that guides their daily actions automatically. They don't need to talk themselves into doing the right thing every day. They've trained themselves to live by principle, not mood. But let's be honest, this doesn't happen overnight. Building a strong philosophy takes time. It requires reading good books, learning from wise mentors, reflecting on your experiences, and being brutally honest with yourself. You'll have to face your excuses. You'll have to unlearn some things, but the effort is worth it because once your philosophy is strong, your life becomes stable. Think of it like this. Philosophy is the compass. Habits are the steps, and your destination is the life you want. If the compass is off, even by a few degrees, you can walk for years and never end up where you hope to be. But fix the compass. Align it with truth, discipline, and purpose, and every step you take starts moving you in the right direction. That's the compound effect of living by an upgraded philosophy. Here's a powerful exercise. Ask yourself what your current habits say about your philosophy. If you procrastinate often, what does that say about your belief in your time or potential? If you're always tired, what does that reveal about your view of health and rest? If you're constantly distracted, what does that say about your focus and values? Your habits don't lie. They're evidence of the philosophy you're living out, whether you chose it or not. So choose wisely. Adopt a personal philosophy that challenges you, inspires you, and elevates you. One that's grounded in growth, not comfort. In responsibility, not blame. In vision, not survival. Because once your philosophy changes, everything else follows. You'll start to build habits that align with your best self. You'll begin to act with intention, speak with purpose, and live with direction. And over time, those small, consistent shifts will lead to a life that reflects the best of who you are. Success is nothing more than a few simple disciplines practiced every day. That statement might seem too easy, too simple to be true. But if you look at the lives of people who are thriving, financially, physically, mentally, spiritually, you'll find it's not the big flashy moves that created their success. It's the daily disciplines, repeated with consistency over time, that built their foundation. Small things, done right, day after day, create powerful results. Discipline isn't about extreme effort once in a while. It's not staying up all night grinding or making some grand sacrifice for a short burst of time. Real discipline is quiet. It's steady. It's saying yes to what matters and no to what distracts. It's waking up when the alarm goes off because you said you would. It's spending 10 minutes reading instead of scrolling. It's making that healthy choice at lunch. None of those seem like game changers on their own, but stack them up. Day after day, week after week, and you've created momentum. That's where success lives, in the momentum created by discipline. Now here's the beauty of simple disciplines. They're accessible to everyone. You don't need a certain background, education, or amount of money to start practicing them. You just need commitment and consistency. That's what makes them so powerful, because over time, the gap between the person who disciplines themselves and the one who doesn't becomes wide. Not overnight, but inevitably. The disciplined person builds habits that work in their favor. The undisciplined person builds habits that work against them. And while both may look the same at the start, give it a year, 5 years, 10, and the difference is undeniable. Let's take an example. Imagine two people who each read 10 pages a day. That's not much. It takes maybe 15 or 20 minutes. But over a year, that's 3,650 pages, or about 12 to 15 books. Now ask yourself, how much wiser, more informed, and more inspired would someone be after reading 12 quality books a year? How many new ideas would they be exposed to? How many new skills could they pick up? All from one small daily discipline. Now imagine someone who saves just $5, 0 cents a day. It's hardly noticeable. But over a year, that's over $1,800, 0 cents. And with wise investing, that money can grow year after year. Small disciplines like budgeting, planning meals, exercising, practicing gratitude, none of them take much time. But they all pay off in a big way. They reduce stress. They improve relationships. They create stability. They increase confidence. It's also important to realize that discipline is not always exciting. In fact, it's often boring. It's doing the right thing even when you don't feel like it. That's why so few people stay consistent. They chase motivation, but motivation is fleeting. Discipline doesn't care how you feel. It shows up anyway. And if you want to live a successful life, you got to get to a place where your actions are no longer dictated by mood, but guided by principle. One of the secrets to staying consistent with your disciplines is to make them small and specific. Don't overwhelm yourself with grand changes. Start with one push-up, one glass of water, one journal entry. Build the habit, then increase the intensity. The point isn't how big the discipline is, it's how often you do it. Once something becomes a habit, it requires less willpower. That's the sweet spot, when the discipline becomes automatic. But let me warn you, just as simple disciplines build success, simple neglects destroy it. It works both ways. Skipping your morning routine once may seem harmless, but do it every day for a week, and suddenly you're off track. Neglect is sneaky. It feels comfortable in the moment, but it robs you silently. That's why awareness is key. You have to check in with yourself regularly. Are my habits moving me forward or holding me back? Success is not about doing everything right. It's about doing a few key things right every day. If you can identify 3 to 5 small disciplines and commit to them, your life will start to change, slowly at first, then dramatically. And people will ask how you did it. You'll be tempted to say it was one big decision or one major break, but you'll know the truth. It was the simple disciplines practiced every day that made all the difference. You don't get paid for the hour. You get paid for the value you bring to the hour. That single idea can transform the way you approach your work, your time, and your future. Most people misunderstand how success works. They think if they just clock in the hours, the rewards will follow. They believe time equals value. But time by itself means very little. What matters is what you do with that time and who you become in the process. Consider 2 people working side by side, both putting in 8 hours a day. One is focused, improving, learning, contributing ideas, solving problems, going the extra step. The other is simply going through the motions, doing just enough to get by, waiting for the clock to hit quitting time. Now ask yourself, should they earn the same? Of course not, because one is increasing their value and the other is just exchanging time. That's the difference between staying average and becoming exceptional. Value is what the world rewards, not effort alone, not time alone, value. And your value is not fixed. You can grow it, you can develop skills, you can learn how to communicate more effectively, solve more important problems, take more intelligent risks. Every book you read, every course you study, every mentor you listen to, it all contributes to your value. That's why personal development is never a waste of time, because as you grow, everything else around you grows, your income, your impact, your influence. Let's be clear. This isn't about becoming someone you're not. It's about becoming the best version of who you already are. Everyone has seeds of greatness within them, but they don't grow unless you cultivate them. You increase your value by pushing past comfort, by doing what others are unwilling to do, by staying curious and committed when others check out. And you do it not just once, but every day. Some people spend years complaining about their income, their job, their lack of opportunity. But the truth is, the marketplace is fair in one critical way. It pays for value. If you're not getting the results you want, don't just ask how many hours you're putting in. Ask how much value you're delivering in those hours. Ask how you can serve better, lead better, solve more complex problems. Because that's where the real rewards come from. Take a craftsman, for example. 2 people might be building furniture. One does it with average skill, fast, functional, good enough. The other has spent years refining his eye for detail, learning how wood behaves, understanding balance and aesthetics. The second piece of furniture doesn't take 10 times longer to make, but it may sell for 10 times more. Why? Because of the value that's embedded in it. That value is invisible to the eye at first, but people recognize it, they feel it. And this principle applies everywhere, in business, in relationships, in leadership. You want more trust, bring more value to your relationships. You want more influence, bring more value to your conversations. You want more income, bring more value to the marketplace. That's the equation. And it works in every area of life. And here's something else. When you start to focus on bringing value, you stop thinking like an employee and start thinking like a leader. You stop waiting for direction and start creating direction. You start asking better questions. How can I improve this process? How can I make life easier for the people I work with? How can I bring more energy, more insight, more excellence into what I do? That mindset is rare and valuable. Now, don't confuse this with working yourself to exhaustion. This isn't about hustle for the sake of hustle. It's about contribution. It's about finding ways to bring your highest quality work to the table, not the most hours. Sometimes bringing more value means working smarter, not harder. Sometimes it means learning instead of just doing. Sometimes it means resting so that your work can be sharper and more creative. The real reward isn't just the paycheck. It's who you become. As you commit to bringing more value, you become more resourceful, more capable, more respected. And those traits stay with you no matter where you go. That's the ultimate investment. Because when you build yourself, you're building your future. So remember, it's not about the hour, it's about the value you bring to it. Don't just count your hours, make your hours count. Learn more, grow more, give more. Because the more value you bring, the more life will return to you.